Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm here today to bring you guys a proper review, the first and only proper review I have seen for The Division Door Closers beta. So many people just, really not understanding what this game is. They see the Tom Clancy name on it, and they're really confused about the game. They don't understand, the purpose of the game. They don't understand why it's not more like Rainbow Six. And a lot of them are even talking like it's some RPG third-person shooter, and they're just... I don't know what world they're in. It blows my mind that so many people could be so incredibly stupid and daft. The fact that they're missing this. But regardless, you've come to the right place. I'm going to give you guys the proper review for Door Closers. And, Ubisoft, massive Red Storm. Man, I have to applaud these guys. Two developers not really working in the simulation industry. This is something I would expect from Boston Studios, the guys behind Goat Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator. But the reality is, after playing the beta, they're not even on the same level as Massive and Red Storm. They are seriously taking the simulation genre to a completely new direction. So there's a lot to talk about here. Let's break it down by first, describing what's going on in the story, what's the core of the Division Door Closers experience. The idea, what we have for the story is it's post-epidemic New York City. You are a member of a faction called the Division that was previously a group of sleeper agents for the government, but you've been reassigned and sent in as a second wave to New York City. The government has a much larger and much more important task for you than, sneaking around and killing bad guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still going to be a part of this experience, and that's what makes this stand out from other simulation experiences. But at the core, you are there to close car doors. The government has recognized that if they want to restore New York City to its former glory, they have to start with its appearance. After all, appearance, can be everything. They tell you this when you go to job interviews. The government recognizes that this is the case with the state of New York City. All these open car doors, they're really giving a sense of just, destruction. They're really helping to maintain the idea that this is a post-epidemic New York City. And if you want to get rid of that sense of post-epidemic, before you even cure the diseases and all of the infections, you need to keep up your appearances. And closing these car doors is a big part of that. You really are doing God's work. I mean, let's be honest. That's really how the Division looks at it. That's how the government looks at it. Closing these car doors is really going to help give a massive moral boost to the remaining citizens, civilians, survivors in New York City. And it's one step in the right direction for restoring proper government order and just restoring a sense of humanity to the city. Closing the doors is a huge part of that, and the government and you as a member of the Division are fully aware of this. Now, one of the big things they've done is, rather than just, having this game be about closing these doors, is they wanted to give a great sense of atmosphere. They wanted to make the world feel alive. When you play a game like Surgeon Simulator, you're in an ambulance, you're in the hospital, that's just it. You don't really feel like there's a greater issue at hand. Like, why am I saving this patient? What happened to him beforehand? The Division doesn't leave any of those questions unanswered. In fact, they've created an entire open world in which you're going to be closing these car doors from a third-person perspective that is then filled with all of the same factions and problems that would exist in a proper post-epidemic New York City. When was the last time Goat Simulator lets you breed different goats? It just doesn't even touch what they're doing here with the Division Door Closers. While you're closing these doors, and this is where the game really starts to blow me away, there are actually factions out in New York City, right? They recognize that you are trying to improve New York City. They recognize you're trying to restore order, and they don't want that. The Rikers, the Cleaners, the Riders, they thrive on the chaos that exists in this post-epidemic New York City. So they're going to be out to stop you. They're coming to kill you. You've got to fight back. Luckily, as an ex-sleeper agent for the government, you have the skills, you have the training. So you're going to be able to pick up different weapons. You're going to be able to equip sniper rifles, automatic rifles, whatever, man. You've got this huge selection of equipment and gear that you're going to be able to use to engage these targets while closing these doors. And there's actually even larger missions in the game where a lot of these factions are controlling areas of the map to prevent you from closing, doors on cars in big intersections. Some of these larger intersections, they have a lot of cars, a lot of doors are open. A lot of doors are open. It's really bringing down the remaining civilians in that area. But at the same time, like I said, the Cleaners, these factions, they understand the importance of that area. These are sort of, VIP sections of the map. So you're going to go out to engage these guys, and sometimes it's going to require multiple players. You're going to be able to, engage in co-op action here, and you're going to go out, you're going to bring the guns with you, you're going to engage in a firefight while you're closing these doors. One of the things I noticed too, and I thought this was a really nice touch, is that if you don't really clear out some of the areas of the map, members of these factions will come out and they'll open the doors again. They know exactly what you're doing. It's not a joke to them. They understand the importance of these doors being open and closed just as much as you do, and they're going to do everything in their power to restore, to basically undo what you're trying to do. So, that's a big part of the story, is actually going to be completing these larger mission arcs to eliminate these factions so you can finally completely close all of the doors in any given sector. I mean, mind blown. Like, if Surgeon Simulator ever had an instance where I was actually in the back of an ambulance and then it was stopped by a group of gang members and I had to get out and engage these gang members in a firefight to protect the person that I was trying to save, I mean, I'd buy that game 10 times over. But the simple fact is, Boston Studios hasn't thought of that. They're just not on the same level as Ubisoft. I mean, it would make sense too. You've got their gang member. You've got another member of another gang in the back of your ambulance. He's got 2 bullet wounds in his upper chest. You're trying to save him. Well, you know what? That gang, they want to finish the job, and they don't care if you get in the way. I mean, that just feels like a far more authentic experience to me. And it's that type of experience that the Division Door Closers is aiming to capture. Like, incredible, man. Like, I just can't applaud Ubisoft enough. It's obvious that they are back on the top of their game. They brought in Massive. They've got Red Storm, and they're flying this under the Tom Clancy name. I know a lot of people think that's weird, whoever thought we would see a simulation game under the Tom Clancy name, but, I think it fits the genre. They're obviously doing a lot for authenticity, and that was really one of the biggest elements of Tom Clancy games, was that level of authenticity. I think as long as they nail that, and let's be honest, we still got some shooting mechanics in here. We've got the third-person, firefights. It has every right to wear the Tom Clancy badge. I'm 100% on board for that. Now, the one thing you're going to be doing a lot, obviously, is closing these doors, so we should really talk about the core of this. I mean, I know there's so much going on with the side missions, and I think a lot of people might even say that this isn't the type of experience that they were looking forward to, because they really just wanted to focus on the simulation core, which is the closing of doors, but Ubisoft really wanted to go in a different direction. They wanted to give us that sense of world, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I know that it kind of takes away from just the door closing experience, and admittedly you do have to engage in combat. It is mandatory to progress and to close more of these doors, but I think that's really where the genius is behind the Division Door Closers. So the closing of doors themselves, right? They've done some interesting things with this. First and foremost, we don't really have any scoring mechanic. What Ubisoft has done instead is, as you close more doors, the world sort of improves. So civilians start coming out into the streets, they align with you more, they recognize you as a hero, they know what you're doing, they're not stupid, they know that you're making their neighborhood look better every single day. They look out their windows, they see all these car doors closed, and they forget about, the people that they saw falling out of these car doors, dying, their brains spilling all over the floors. They were killed by rioters or cleaners, or simply just, finally dying from infection, turning into a pile of just disgusting goop. It helps them forget those awful memories. They see the door closed, and, part of them just thinks they could walk outside, get in the car, drive to the store, grab a gallon of milk and some porno magazines, just like it was yesterday. And I think that's cool, to see that you're going to have that sense of impact with a lot of the characters and the people in the environment. They're going to come out and start playing music in the streets. It's wonderful. So there's that sense of reward right there. But on top of that, the actual action of closing doors, which, rightfully so. If they screwed this up, the entire game would be worthless. It's great. It's so satisfying. Every door has a very distinct clunk. I have to admit, I would have liked to be able to see the ability to close trunks. I don't know if this is a bug in the beta, but we couldn't close trunks. What's the point of closing all these car doors if I can't close a trunk? There's something wrong with that. And I think full game, they're talking about the ability for characters to also reload luggage back into these cars. So you're not only cleaning up the cars themselves and their appearance, but you're getting a lot of the debris, the things that have fallen out of the cars during the chaos, back into the car where it belonged. It's as if these owners could come back at any time, get back in their car, and continue on their journey through New York City. I love that. Now, the sound effect and the overall satisfaction of closing a car door, I was a little bit worried about them doing this in third person, but they completely nailed it. It feels great. It feels solid. I even heard they brought on some members of the automotive industry to really help nail that authentic, modern car door sound effect. Modern car doors, they use lighter metals, a lot of plastics. They don't really have that same heavy oomph as a older car door, but they do have a very distinct sort of closing sound. I think they've nailed that. If you go outside and close your car door, compare it to some of the door closing stuff that you're seeing here in this footage, I think you'll agree it's about as authentic as it gets, and that's really the point of a simulation, taking that stuff to the next level. Incredible job. I love the variety of the vehicles. You know, there's going to be a lot of reason to continue closing these doors. I don't think you're going to get tired. Not to mention you have the change in scenery. You're going through different parts of New York City. There's even level progression, and all of this is driven by those side missions. Another bold move. You know, a lot of games you progress through the core activity, but rather than giving you experience for closing car doors, they're going to give you experience for engaging these side missions, you know, doing anything to help secure your ability to close car doors. So in a lot of ways, it does tie into the main story and also the main progression system of closing doors, and I think that's simply incredible. They've really done something special here. I'm really taken in. And we haven't even talked about the Dark Zone. You know, they got a PvP/PvE hybrid area of the map where other players are going to be running around. You're going to be closing doors in there. I mean, it's insane. You know, you're talking about trying to close your doors and help restore something that is so far gone. It's just a whole nother darker area of the map, and I think that's really impressive. I mean, I really want to hear your thoughts, guys. I know a lot of you got to sit down with the beta yourselves. I'm very much looking forward to this game come March. This is the first simulation game that has ever really grabbed my attention. You know, you look at, like I said, the problems with Surgeon Simulator, the problems with Goat Simulator, even Euro Truck, and they're coming out with American Trucker soon. I mean, honestly, if they don't have hijackings that you have to try and prevent as a truck driver, those games are just going to they're going to fall flat on their face after the Division comes out. I mean, this is really the next level of simulation experiences, and if people don't start to understand that, they're going to get left in the dust, and Ubisoft is going to completely monopolize this franchise with whatever else they tried to do under the Division door closer's name. Let me know all your thoughts, guys. Any feelings or questions you have for me personally regarding the Division door closers, throw them down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.